I'm getting confirmation that we're ready to go here, so without further ado, I think we're gonna move over to new Super Luigi U by Maxian.
Alright, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the No Glitches Allowed Save Our Shelter Marathon. My name is M. and I'm very excited to be here for you guys today. This time we're going to be running a game and category that I'm most well known for in the speedrunning community. When I first started learning this game, I started out with this category 6 years ago, and so, you know, over 6 years later, still running this category. It's been a long time. And now, here we are, showcasing this category live for you guys here in Save Our Shelter. First things first, before the time begins, time actually does not start when I hit begin story mode. It actually starts when I start moving on the world map, which means I have to get past an intro cutscene, which takes like 2 minutes. So, I'm just going to go ahead and start the game right now. So, let's do it. Alright, so this is New Super Luigi U for the Nintendo Wii U. It is the DLC for New Super Mario Bros. U for the Nintendo Wii U. And the game is very similar to New Super Mario Bros. U, where, like, you know, as you see, the cutscenes are the same, except there's no Mario, of course. You're playing as Luigi this time. The maps are the same, the amount of levels you do are the same. However, the levels are different, but they're similarly themed. But every level has a gimmick of a 100-second time limit, so it's a very fast-paced game as a result. He plays differently than Mario, as he has slippery physics, he slips more, it makes quick turning harder, he jumps higher with floaty jumps. So overall, the controls are kind of hard to get used to, making it kind of a difficult game to play for your first few times. But as a speedrun, if you can get used to Luigi's controls, then the levels are laid out very nicely, making this a pretty, I mean, it's not like a trivial speedrun, but it's still a pretty fun game regardless. The category is all castles, which is essentially like the workless category. So the last time I ran this at No Glitches Allowed, I ran the 100% category. This was during No Holidays Allowed. This time I'm running all castles, which is about half the length of Hundo. It's essentially like you go through every world as fast as you can, so you're going to be seeing more of the game, but you're not going to be seeing every level this time, unlike the 100% category that I showcased 7 months ago. The time's about to begin soon. In 3, 2, 1, go! Alright, so we're starting off here in 1-1. And what I'm going to be doing here right off the bat in 1-1 is I'm going to be getting the main power-up of the game, which is the Super Acorn. The Super Acorn allows you to turn into a squirrel, as you can see right here. And with the squirrel, I could glide over a bunch of things, fly over levels, and then later on down the line, there's going to be some pretty cool tricks that I can do with the Super Acorn in order to perform some pretty cool movement. So as you can see right there, that was the first level. So you can kind of get an idea of how quick the levels are in this game. The next level right away is one of the harder levels to do in World 1. So let's see what we can do here. At the beginning of this underground area, I'm going to go to the left and grab a hidden star. And the star allows me to turn invincible as well as speed up my movement. And because I'm invincible, I can tank through a lot of these enemies right here. And then if I get here fast enough, I can grab that star right there and chain it to the end of the level, as that, towards the end of the... I'm gonna wait here, because I was slightly too slow. I kind of messed up my movement halfway in the level, so I am actually going to slow down there, otherwise I would have ended the level with double digits. But yeah, if you hit a star block while you have a star and chain it, then the next block will contain a star. So that's how I was able to get through that second half of the level easily. So we're 2 levels down, and now we are approaching our first fortress level, or tower, depending on what you want to call it. It's towers in the official title of the level. And as you can see right here, I am playing as a different character now. I'm playing as Nabbits, suddenly. And Nabbit is a character who doesn't die. He's introduced in this game. And, so yeah, he doesn't die, so I can actually tank through all these dry bones right here. And so, it's a kind of a hidden mechanic that the game never really tells you about, so you kind of have to figure it out on your own on how to secretly play as Nabbit. And Nabbit is used in levels where there's a ton of enemies that you otherwise have to spend time dodging as Luigi. And so those will be levels where Nabbit will be useful. To play as Nabbit, you just essentially have to hold the ZL button on the gamepad, or if you're using the Wii remote, then you just hold the B button. So you might think that because Nabbit's invincible, he doesn't die, you might think it's faster to play as Nabbit for every single level, but I played the first 2 levels as Luigi. So obviously that's not the case. The other reason is because Nabbit does not use the benefits of any of the power-ups, so it's in some levels where you need large distances, Nabbit is not useful. The other thing to note about at the end of every tower and also at the end of every castle, the game is going to ask us to save. And this is the point to talk about controller preferences. So there's 3 different controllers you can use to play this game. There's the Wii U, there's the Wii Remote, and then there's also the Wii U Pro Controller. And I'm using the gamepad because, like in a lot of Wii U speedruns, the gamepad is preferable because you can use the touchscreen on the gamepad to select options, and it makes inputs. It saves inputs each time, and so it's a kind of a small time save, but it does add up over the course of this category. This is our first fork in the road here. You have an option between 1-4 or 1-5, and obviously, since we're not doing every level, you want to choose the faster of the 2 levels. In this case, I'm choosing 1-4, as it saves 4 seconds over doing 1-5. On the other side, as well as the fact that after I beat 1-5, I would have to avoid a piranha plant, which takes more time in the map to do that. So now we're moving on to the first castle of the run, 1-Castle. And usually castles are like these, like, super... They kind of ramp up the difficulty compared to the normal levels. But for this level here, I'm just going to be flying over these, like, moving platforms, having some fun, landing on these dry bones here. You might notice that whenever I move while I have the Super Acorn, my first movement is a short hop followed by a glide immediately, and that allows me to gain full speed quicker, and it saves a few frames each time, which, again, that adds up over the course of this 1-hour run. And that's the kind of level of optimization this game has come down to. This is a very optimized category, so we do need every time save that we can get in order to compete for a top-level time. So at the end of every castle, there is a Koopaling, and just like bosses in a lot of Mario games, if you fight them the same way, then you get very consistent results. So in this case here, I got my first hit on Lemmy Koopa, I jumped underneath his giant bomb that he was about to throw at me, and then I always know when he's going to come out from his shell, so I just hang around the spot where he comes out from and hit him immediately, saving frames of time save, just like that. And that is the first world. So you can kind of give an idea of basically how quick this game is compared to if you were doing New Super Mario Bros. U, where the levels are about like an average length in a regular Mario game. So we're moving on to World 2, where the levels get a little bit harder from here. So, a little fun fact about the world names is that the world names are named after different foods. So the first world has acorn. It was called Acorn Plains. There's acorn in the title. This one is called Layer Cake Desert, where there's obviously this cake, and you can see that there's tons of cake within around the world map here. So not much to really say about this level. There are these enemies here that are called spikes that throw these spiky balls at us. We've got to dodge their spiky balls, do a precise jump to get in between that part right there, And just like that. You might notice at the end of every level, I'm actually grabbing the flagpoles anywhere I want, and that's because it doesn't matter where I grab the flagpoles, as the flagpole animation takes the same amount of time each time. But what I'm also doing is I'm turning backwards slightly right before I hit the flagpole, and that saves the turning animation for Luigi turning around after reaching the flagpole. So right here, Toad is going to let us know that some guy named Nabbit has stole his double favorite stuff, and, well, we don't care. He's going to go back to World 1, and we can go back to catch him, and your reward is a pea acorn, which is nice, because there's some really cool tricks with the pea acorn, but unfortunately it takes too long to catch Nabbit to make using the pea acorn worth it, so we're not going to be using the pea acorn at all. So, sorry Toad, I don't have time to help you out. I have a date to catch. I gotta save my girl. Alright, 2-3. Again, faster than the other level, 2-2. This level is kind of a tricky level to do for your first time. As you can see, it's a dark level, so if you don't know the level very well, then you can run to enemies that you can't really see very well. But fortunately, as Nabbit, you don't really have to worry about it that much. I'm going to do a small little time save right here. Wall jump off of that pipe right there in order to gain full speed quicker, saving a few frames. That's the other alternatives. As I said earlier, Nabbit cannot use the benefits of any of the power-ups. And now approaching Portash Tower, which is a very technical level. There's a very hard strat towards the end. Let's see if I can pull it off. So the gimmick here is you can wind up these things, and it moves the blocks. So you can kind of create your own cycles here. There we go. So normally in PB attempts, I actually don't spend as much time winding that last set of blocks up, and it's saving a few seconds there, or saving like half a second or something like that. But in a marathon, you don't want to risk the chance of dying if you mess up your movement on your way up to the top. So a little extra bit of safety, very negligible for a marathon run. And now the next Boom Boom fight. You fight Boom Boom at the end of every tower. And the first Boom Boom fight in World 1 was easy, but from here on out, Kamek is going to power up Boom Boom to make him do something different each time, making it seem like a hard fight, but, well, we know his attack pattern. Alright, so coming up is the biggest run killer of all castles. If you're grinding all castles, then you're going to be resetting this part of the run a lot. And that's because, as you can see, on this bridge, there's a Goomba, a Firebro, and an Acorn, and we have to get past this bridge without running into any of them. If we run to the Acorn, it's not a big deal, but if you run into the Goomba or the Firebro, then you initiate a fight, you have to fight them, you get an item, it's so slow. You lose 25 seconds each time. And that's a lot of time for a category that needs every little time save that they can get. They move at random each time you move in World 2. However, recently, there is a kind of a manipulation where you can increase your odds in getting past this bridge without running to any of the enemies, which it looks like I have succeeded, right? Right? Yes, there we go. We gotta run. So usually, if you can get this result, then that's a good thing, because you just saved about 25 seconds. So now we just move on to the second half of World 4. No problem. Whoa, I wasn't expecting that. Alright, so at the end of this level, I'm going to be doing this level again, but getting the secret exit. Now, you might think that's kind of useless, given that I said that this is kind of a warpless run, and the whole point of this category is to go through a natural route of the game. But there's a particular reason for this. I'll explain when it's relevant, but for now, just know that I'm going to be getting the secret exit of this level. And if you ever played this game, then you might know that secret exits in this game are very obscure. As you can see, you can just ground pound this part right here, and it reveals a hidden pipe. I don't know how anybody's supposed to know that when they're playing this for their first time. But this secret exit is going to be useful for later on down the line. So for now, we're going to continue off to the next part of World 2. And we're going to be doing 2-6. And 2-6 is actually an interesting level in that it has these rolling hills. Now, we saw them briefly back in 1-3. But you're really going to see how broken the rolling hills are in this level. So, when you spin jump off of anything that's moving, such as these rolling hills, then as you can see, you can preserve your momentum, which allows you to keep your speed. And as Luigi, when you're flying, you can fly really fast. Look how fast I'm flying. And this adds up to saving about a couple seconds over the course of this level right here. And then also take advantage more of the boost by landing in that Lakitu. And then spin jump off of that last rolling hill, and to gain more of a boost at the very end, and there we go. Otherwise, without that, I'd probably get either a 68 or 69 at the end of that level right there. If I didn't take advantage of the spin jump mechanic of preserving momentum. And now we're moving on to 2-Dash Castle. And normally in 100%, when you're getting star coins, there's some things to explain here, but because we're not getting star coins at all throughout the run, we are not worrying about that. Instead, this is just a simple flyover level without having to worry too much about the cycle, as long as your movement is clean throughout this, which I successfully did. And now we're moving on to the boss of World 2, which is Morton Koopa Jr. Morton Koopa Jr. starts off by summoning a giant Pokey that you're supposed to wait for Morton to use a giant hammer to hammer his body parts at us. But with the acorn, I can just simply fly over this giant Pokey. Just like this, skipping this entire attack phase altogether. Now, the way I did that early hit is actually pretty precise because Morton's hammer is actually pretty large, so it's really easy to get hit by his hammer instead, which knocks you into the Pokey. And that wouldn't be very good at all. There's also a faster strat where you can actually damage boost through the Pokey instead, which actually saves a second within the fight, but then that means I have to re-equip Acorn at the end of this level, as I do need the Acorn to perform more cooler strats in later levels, which would not be optimal. Equipping Acorn loses more time than if I was to do the damage boost, as each time you have to go to your item menu, it is 3.5 seconds. So right here we have a branching path between World 3 or World 4. So in the true warpless route, you have to do one of them. But since it's all castles and it's a category where you do all the worlds, we are going to be doing both worlds. We're going to start by doing World 4. That's because by going up to World 4 first, it actually saves like 8 to 12 seconds in World 3. Alright, so 4-1 here. Pretty technical climb. Gotta dodge all these bruisers here while they throw barrels at us. Very nice, I dodged them just fine. The one bruiser that I land on, the way I land on them is actually not easy because they don't have very favorable hitboxes, but thankfully I didn't get screwed over their hitbox.
Can I cut in for a second there? We have...
Oh, what's that?
If you got time. I just wonder if I can cut in.
Yeah, in about a couple levels from now, because there's something I want to explain within these two levels.
Yeah.
So, in 4-2, I am playing as level as Nabbit, even though the movement is actually easier with Luigi, but the reason I'm playing as Nabbit is because the fastest end time you get at the end of this level is a 77, and when you end a level with double digits, then you get fireworks. And fireworks are nice, but also, they lose a lot of time within the speedrun itself. You lose about 15 seconds. The cutscene, the fanfare is longer, and then you get an item at the end, and the item that you get is designated to whichever number that you get, which in this case, if I get a 77, I get an acorn, which would be nice, but hopefully the run doesn't go bad enough to where I need the safety acorn. And then Portash Tower. Portash Tower is another, vertical climbing level, just like all towers. I'm up here. Ground pound to stop my momentum so I don't slide into those falling icicles there. And then, while jumping, instead of riding that platform up to the top, is ever so slightly faster. And then now we have Boom Boom, and this would actually be a good time for you to read donations, as at this fight, as well as the next couple of levels, there's not much to talk about.
Yeah. There's just a short one here coming from our own Steve TV Online. Say, donating $5 saying, can we get a 5 donation train from the chat? Let's get those incentives met. Indeed, Steve. We have a bunch of awesome incentives and bid wars still coming up, so be sure to check them out with !incentives and donate with !donate. Yeah. How's the pace going currently?
Pretty alright. I don't have splits, so I can't really judge exactly, but I mean this run's pretty good. I got the good RNG in World 2, which obviously means that the pace is always good whenever you can get past the RNG section in World 2.
Sounds great. RNG it's also always a bit calmer after the RNG section.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can also take this short time to say that we are currently helping Go Rescue, which is a no-kill shelter. Their car broke down, unfortunately, and they had to get some quite expensive repairs for it. And that's currently why we're helping them, and that's why this marathon came out of the blue so fast, while we're still planning for Noglish's Allowed 9 coming up here in roughly a month as well. So there's gonna be 2 marathons from us in a very short time. Stay tuned for that. You can join the Discord, I believe it! Discord. And yeah, submit your own runs for Noglish's Allowed 9 if you want to participate and help us raise more money for this awesome shelter.
So that acorn that I grabbed earlier, you can avoid it, but then you have to avoid that acorn every time you go past that ring. So it ends up losing more time avoiding that acorn. So you may as well just grab that acorn. So it's kind of a free acorn that you can get throughout the run. One of the nice things about all castles is that when you mess up something and you lose acorn, then you always have like a spare or 2 or 3. There's an acorn that I skipped earlier in World 1. So you always have like a way to save yourself if you end up messing up something. So this is our first ghost house, which are these usually complex levels that trick the players into getting lost, but I guess they couldn't find a way to make the levels complex within a 100-second time limit, so these ghost house levels aren't that hard to go through. As you can see, you just gotta make some careful platforming across those blocks while dodging all those boos. Well, I guess I'm not really dodging them because I'm Nabbit and I'm invincible, but you get the whole point. It's also worth noting that Nabbit actually has a faster flight pull animation than Luigi by about a few frames. So in levels where if they take the same amount of time for both characters, Nabbit is preferable. So right there, I did a slight delay. I also did that right before entering Portash Tower. And the slight delay is so I don't run into the Cooligans, as that would initiate a fight with them, and that would be a very bad thing. They don't have good hitboxes when you're dealing with them. And then also, uh-oh, hold on. Okay, we're good. Also, of course, the entire battle, you lose 25 seconds, or more. So when you're doing this level casually, it's kind of a fun level here, as you're running from these thwomps. So it's kind of like a speedrunner friendly level right there in that regard. Right there, you're supposed to wall jump on those blocks before that last thwomp hits those blocks. But what I did there is a very precise jump to squeeze in between the ceiling as well as that large stack of blocks, and it saves a second and a half over just doing the wall jumps. And now we're fighting Wendy. Now Wendy has some pretty awkward timing when you hit her, so what I'm going to do here is kind of play this fight a little bit safe here. Also, here's a little fun thing right here. Because Nabbit cannot get hit, you can kind of have some fun and jump into the icicles up on the top. As you can see, I just spiked my head, and nothing happens. For anyone curious, there is actually a category where you don't use Nabbit at all. And in my opinion, that category is more interesting, because, you know, it bans the use of Nabbit, so you have to find a way around some of the hard stuff that Nabbit goes through. So that's World 4 completed, and now this will actually take us to World 5, but we're not ready to go to World 5 yet, as this is all castles, so we have to go back to do World 3. It's going to delay so I don't run into the Cooligan. Got up here so I don't run into that guy. And then I'm going to be grabbing this baby Yoshi right here. And that's so I could save time in a level in World 3. And this is why doing World 4 is faster. As on my way back to World 4, I can grab that baby Yoshi so I can use it for World 3. So World 3 is the water level. It's the water world, so there are water levels. There are 2 water levels that we go through over the course of World 3. And the baby Yoshi is going to be used for one of them, and it saves quite a lot of time for just that single level alone. You might think, like, you just lost 8 seconds for going slightly out of your way to get baby Yoshi, but that detour, it makes that one level worth it. So for now, we got this straightforward level right here. I'm doing this level as Nabbit because when you carry Baby Yoshi throughout the level as Luigi, then the flexible animation just takes longer. And so with Nabbit, you don't have Baby Yoshi with you, and you still keep Nabbit throughout the level. Or you still keep Baby Yoshi throughout the level, and there we go. So I can use Baby Yoshi for this level. So this level is like 50 seconds long without Baby Yoshi. And so with Baby Yoshi, here's what you get to see instead. Hold on. So as you can see right here, when you're using Baby Yoshi, you can do these like little twirls right here, and it speeds up the water movement a lot. So you save 20 seconds over in this level using Baby Yoshi. It's quite a huge time save. But because it takes like 8 seconds to go out of your way to get Baby Yoshi, then you have a net save of 12 seconds, which that alone makes getting Baby Yoshi worth it. Alright, so this level is kind of the biggest time save with Nabbit, as there are these skewers that normally you have to wait for, but as Nabbit, well, Nabbit doesn't care about these skewers, so you don't have to worry about, like, trying to make skewer cycles and whatnot. You also have to worry about this Fire Bro that can sometimes be a jerk, and then we're already at the end. Alright, this Boom Boom fight is exactly the same as in World 4, so if you have, like, maybe one donation or one thing to say, then this would be a good time.
Gotten any more donations in currently, but do keep donating, guys. It's going for a good cause to help some dogs and help probably some other animals as well, I've been informed. So it's not only dogs that are being rescued in this, so it helps all the animals. And anything helps, every little bit.
So you might notice on, my camera, one little tidbit is you might notice I'm looking down a lot. And that's just simply because, well, if anyone's not familiar with how Wii U works, the gamepad also has the game screen, so I'm looking at the game screen, because in my opinion, I just find that looking at the game screen is easier than looking at my monitor screen. Just a small little tidbit to point out. Anyway, so here's our ghost ship. Kind of similar concept to a ghost house, but it's a underwater ghost ship. There are these spinning platforms that can sometimes be a pain. Their physics can get weird depending on which part of the spinning blocks you land on, but that went pretty well. And then now coming up is the next fork in the road where we have an option between 3-3 and 3-4. And we're going to be doing 3-3. And 3-3 is about 4 seconds faster than 3-4, but much harder, actually. Those little water spouts to get across is slightly random. Sometimes you have to wait for a water spout to come in, sometimes they come in right away. Sometimes you have to wait for a cheap cheap, like I just did there. So it's a bit of a variable time saved / time lost, depending on what you get in that part. Okay,
We got the
do a little turn back right there so I don't die on that long stretch of water spouts. What were you gonna say?
Oh, we just had a viewer in chat asking what the world record for this cattle
Oh, yeah,
was,
yeah.
which Yayo checked up as 1 hour and 1 minute and 4 seconds.
Yeah, so pretty optimized category over the course of an hour run. Alright, 3-5, another water level, so you might think, would it be worth keeping Baby Yoshi for this level? And that's because this is a and the answer is no, and that's because this is a vertical swimming water level instead, where if you want to optimize your swim movement for this level, you want to mash really well here. Okay, there we go. And so when you're using the twirl spins from the Baby Yoshi, it doesn't really benefit that much over the course of this level. Now, if you mash really fast and not drop a single mash throughout that level, then you can actually get an 81 at the end of this level, and that means you played this level perfectly. Unfortunately, I had to drop a mash early on because I hit one of the walls, which kind of lost me some speed, but that's okay. It's 81's really hard to get. And only very few people can achieve 81s, due to, like, human mashing ability. And now we're moving on to 3-Dash Castle, one of the only levels in the run where it's preference on using Luigi or Nabbit. Some people like to use Nabbit because it makes it so that if you get hit in the water section right here, then you don't lose your acorn. But I like to use Luigi because the first and third section have easier movement with Luigi. Also, I can get in some squirrel boosts like this, save a few frames. And now we're off to the boss. So like I said, bosses, when you fight them the same way, you get the same results each time. Which does hold true with this fight. If you mess up this fight, however, then it gets pretty random. As you get different cycles on the water spouts here in this fight if you mess up. So let's hope we don't mess up here, and then everything's fine. This second hit right here, I can just stand right here, and then he just jumps into me, making a free second hit right there. Let's hope I get this third hit without getting hit. Sometimes he hits me. Alright, he didn't hit me. Okay, so we completed Worlds 3 and 4 now. And so, again, World 3 will take us to World 5. So you might think I'm going to go straight to World 5 now. And the answer is no. Because coming up would be the Airship, 5-Airship, the intermission level before heading to the main part, World 5. Now, if you know anything about airships in Mario games, they tend to be auto-scroller heavy, and this is no exception for this upcoming level. So the secret exit that I got earlier in World 2, this is where it comes into play. So as you can see right here, I'm doing all this backtracking. It's a pretty long way, and then I'm back to World 2. If you haven't done it yet, you would do the secret exit of 2-4, and then 2-secret. But all this backtracking, as well as doing this level right here, which is a very short level, it saves time over doing 5-Airship by about a minute overall. Because when you're doing 5-Airship, there's this really long cutscene right before doing the level. And then also, 5-Airship's a really long auto-scroller. It's terrible. And then there's a long cutscene at the end of the level. Oh, also, at the end of 5-Airship, there's a very painful boss fight. It's, like, super unexciting. And then the long cutscene, of course. So, we don't want to do that at all. So even with all that backtracking, going out of my way, and doing this, it saves time over doing the airship. And this is allowed in all castles. You are allowed to take shortcuts as long as you achieve the main objective of the category, which is doing all the castles. In the true warpless category, which bans secret levels, you wouldn't do this, of course. You would suffer the 3-minute auto-scroller, which is, ironically, the longest level in the game. But now here we are. We skipped the airship by taking this long path over here, and now here we are in World 5. Now, the route's been pretty straightforward across every world so far, but this is where all castles gets interesting. As World 5 is usually a pretty long world. It's divided up into 3 sections. There's this beginning section. After 5 Tower, there is what's known as the Haunted Woods, where it features some of the hardest levels in the game, in my opinion. But despite how long World 5 looks, we actually only do 4 levels in the run. So it's actually the shortest world that we do in the run. First off, oh no. Okay, so in 5-1, as you can see right here, I'm doing a strat where if I hold neutral as I'm swinging from the vines, then I actually preserve my momentum, and I just gain so much speed. And if I'd done it right in that very last part, I would have just jumped on all 3 of the giant Koopas while going really fast, and it saves like 3 seconds over the course of the level if I weren't doing those boosts. But I still save 2 seconds over just jumping from the vines. So it's still a net time save overall. So now we're moving on to 5-2. In any percent, you would do 5-3 because it's slightly faster than doing 5-2. But I'm doing 5-2 here in this category because there is a secret exit here that will allow us to skip a lot of World 5. And this also includes skipping the tower, which, you know, it's a tower, not a castle, so it's allowed to be skipped. And this is fortunate because 5-Tower features, like, a very difficult skip. So I don't have to worry about losing my run to that skip at all. So now we're moving on to the bottom part of World 5. The Haunted Forest has 2 hard levels, a ghost house, and then there's also an RNG section that we have to get past, so we just bypass all that stuff entirely. So here in this level right here, there are these sumo bros that kick out these lightnings. You gotta dodge them. I'm sliding off of these slanted wooden platforms that are facing down in order to gain a little bit of speed. Again, these little optimizations and movement that help add up over the course of the 1-hour run. Alright, 5-Castle. So 5-Castle has swinging chains, which work the same as swinging vines in 5-1. So you're going to be seeing the same thing here. I'm going to hold neutral, which is by not having my thumb on the D-pad at all. Oh, please don't die. Thank you. And then I just gain a lot of speed. I'm gonna tap out by landing on those set of blocks right there because I can't make the I can't make that jump. I can't make it to that chain if I don't land on those blocks. And so this saves like 2 seconds. or like a second and between a second and a half and 2 seconds. Over just swinging on the chains and hope that I don't die. And now we have Piggy Koopa. Piggy Koopa is kind of the first bit of randomness. It's not that impactful as Nabbit, but with Luigi it can be bad. But what I can do as Nabbit is, as you can see right there, I jump into the fireballs, which actually cancels out all the fireballs. And Iggy does not come down unless all the fireballs are off screen. So I just jump into the fireballs, making Iggy come down sooner. And that speeds up the fight quite a lot. As Luigi, you can do that, but then that means you lose your acorn. Now all I have to do after that is just count him going in and out of pipes 4 times, just like that. And that is the fight right there. Now there's actually a even faster strat right at the beginning of the fight, and that is that you can actually hit Piggy Koopa on the ceiling, but it's a very inconsistent strat, which is why you didn't see me do it at all. I have only just came back to this category this week, so I didn't have much time to get consistent enough to pull it off in the marathon, unfortunately.
But yeah, may I cut in for a second?
Yes.
Indeed. Thank you very much. We have the real GR Bow with another $5 donation saying, let's start the $5 chain. Choo choo!
Alright, World 6 is, in my opinion, the hardest world in the run. So the first part of World 6 is easy. The first 2 levels are pretty straightforward here. As Nabbits, you can, like, just run through all these Fuzzies and Koopas. But this is the only level that we do as Nabbits, so, when you make mistakes in World 6, because you're doing every other level as Luigi, you're very likely to lose your acorn if you mess up something within any of the levels in World 6, which can be pretty bad. And as you can see right now, I only have 2 spare acorns, and there's like a lot of levels in World 6. This is probably the longest world in the run, and it's also a pretty complex world because the gimmick behind World 6 is there are these red and blue switches that you use in order to create pathways to do different routes throughout World 6. There's also 2 towers, and then also the castle is very unique compared to every other castle in the game, and well, I'll explain when we get there. For now, this level is pretty straightforward. Here's a little fun thing that I can do right here. If you, oh, okay, that's not what was supposed to happen right there. But you can actually, as you saw right there, you can clink off the pipe by just simply holding left as you come out of the pipe and then do a wall jump. It's in order to gain full speed immediately. Now, the first tower, 6-Tower, is it features kind of a glitch or an exploit, depending on what you call it. There's no glitches in this game at all. But there's a cool little trick that I can do. Uh-oh, hold on. Okay. Fortunately, I didn't get hit. I'm gonna play this part safe. Okay, we didn't get it. Alright, let's see if I can get the other one. Okay, there we go. I might get hit, right? Alright, let's play this part safe here. Normally you don't go in the sub area at all, but I did this so I don't lose my acorn, and losing acorn is a bad thing. Okay, I lost my acorn anyway. Fantastic. So that means I gotta re-equip acorn later on after this level. That's okay. This is why we have backup acorns. So normally what's supposed to happen is you can actually, as you saw, I actually flew right through a hidden block. And normally you're supposed to wait for those grolls to... You're supposed to like reveal those hidden blocks for the grolls to roll on the middle part of that part, so that way you can actually get through. But you can actually, with precise flying, you can actually fly right through the hidden blocks, which skips having to wait for those grolls, and it would save 6 seconds, but because I kind of messed up pretty hard, I didn't do it correctly, which as a result, I had to improvise, and, well, we're alive, fortunately. But I have to re-equip Acorn. So there we go. So this is one of the things I was talking about where World 6 is very difficult. There's, the levels are really hard. Nice. So right there, if you ground pound in midair, you gain a few pixels of extra height. And that extra height was enough for me to make it up to that last part of the level right there. The other level, 6-4, is an auto-scroller, so that is automatically out of the option of doing. In Mario U, you actually do that level instead, in the Mario U version of all castles. Alright, so 6-5 has a secret exit that we're going to be doing. So just go ahead and fly right up here. And this will get us the secret exit. And it'll still take us to the 6 Tower. But what this secret exit will do is you might notice I hit the red switch right before entering 6-5. And so getting the secret exit will allow us to give us a path to another red switch, which will still remain the red switch being on. And having the red switch on is important for the end of World 6. Alright, so the second tower here, this is called the Sumo Tower, and first off we have the technical climb. Just like that, and then there's a really precise quick first hit that I'm gonna try and go for. It's very difficult. Yes, got it. Okay, so that you have just enough time to get to hitting him right before he jumps up to the middle. And this allows you to get a very early first hit in, and it's not a new thing, but for a long time this was considered an IL strat because it was really difficult. But as speedrunning goes, you grind out a level enough times where you can get consistent with that strat that it's starting to become a thing that people do in runs now. Alright, so with the red switch still on, this allows me to act as the back castle of World 6, which is the only castle that allows you to do the back entrance. And as you can see right here, it took us 6 seconds to get to the boss door, as opposed to doing the front entrance of World 6, where you have to do a little bit more in order to get to the boss door. So this saves quite a lot of time. But now we have Roy Koopa, yes. Which is, if you're running 100%, then this is your favorite boss fight, because you do this boss fight twice. It's the only boss in the game that you do twice. But in all castles, since it's not 100%, we just fight him the one time. So there's not much to say. So if you want to say something, go ahead.
Indeed, we have another donation coming in with Papa Shmoo, increasing the bid of the train to $10. Asking if anyone else is jumping in on that one. Thank you so very much for all these donations.
Nice. So now we're moving on to World 7 now, after completing World 6. You know, a little bit of trouble here in 6 Tower, and that's probably the only thing that went wrong here in World 6. So for the most difficult world in the run, and having only messed up one level, I'd say this is a pretty good World 6 overall. But World 7, this is where the run kind of meets up with NA% now, because from here on out, the levels that we do are basically identical to NA%. So World 7 is also another fairly difficult world. The first level is, in my opinion, the hardest level of World 7. Let's just see how it goes. The ending is very hard. So it is actually faster to do this level as Nabbit by a second, but the execution is harder, much harder. And also, if you mess up as Nabbit, then you're dead. With Luigi, I mean, this level's still not easy, but you have more of a room to save yourself if you mess up. Okay, got it. Okay, so you have about a few frames to make that jump right there. Otherwise, when you're running on ice, then your inputs tend to drop very easily. So you have about a few frames to make that very large jump at the very end in order to get across all those fuzzies. So it didn't seem like anything, but that was a much harder jump than I made that look. Oh, and also, yes, in 100% you do that castle. You do both entrances because it's mainly because the star coins are located at both entrances. So once again, another fork in the road. We're doing 7-2 instead of 7-3. This saves like 20 seconds over 7-3, so it's faster by default. And now 7-Tower. The one thing to point out about 7-Tower is that it's very important that I don't lose my acorn. Otherwise, I lose a lot of time in the boss fight itself. Which can sometimes be easy to do, but let's see what happens. Gonna wall jump off the left wall to get up to the top faster. Please don't hit me, dry bones. Good. Then, boom, on top of the fire bro. Now this part right here, it's a bit of an auto-scroller. You can kill the fire bros if you want, or dodge them. It's much safer to dodge them, obviously, as these fire bros are semi-random. You can kind of predict them, sometimes they just bait you. Okay, so the boss of this tower is Kamek. Nobody's ever lost a run to Kamek before. So, I'm setting my prayers now. Hopefully, let's see what happens. Purely skill-based, no RNG involved. Okay, just kidding. Okay, not bad. That's about average right there. So that's still a really good fight, nonetheless. The most important thing is you don't let him teleport away right before hitting him. Otherwise, the fight just takes longer. So you can probably see that it's a bit of a guessing game within that fight. You kind of pick a side, hope they spawn on the same side as you. And then you can get the quick kill, just like that. So it's a guessing game for the first 2 hits. The third hit is always the same. He'll always spawn in the middle, unless you miss hitting him in the middle. Then you just gave yourself more randomness, and that's pretty much how the Kamek works. 7-Dash Ghost House. The really large jump that you just saw me do looks kind of YOLO, but there's a setup to make that jump each time, so I wasn't afraid of that level. And this secret exit allows me to skip a pretty large portion of World 7, as the normal path throughout World 7 involves RNG. So, we already had to deal with RNG with Kamek. I don't want to add more randomness than I need to. Alright, going straight to the castle. So, the castle has 2 parts, and both parts involve this, like, giant sledding block. So you can kind of take your time on both parts, as you kind of have to wait for this block to pass by you, like this. The second part right here, I'm actually going to go slow on purpose, and that's because it allows me to get a more favorable cycle with the fire bars here. Just like that. So that's actually a pretty tight jump right there. If you mess up anything, which is really easy to do, then you're going to get hit by the fire bars which means you're going to lose time on the boss fight. The boss of Seven Edge Castle is Ludwig Von Koopa. And what Ludwig's going to do here is he's going to clone himself into 3 different clones. You have to guess which one's the right Ludwig. It's the one that shoots the most fireballs. But with the acorn, you can fly up to the top of Ludwig before he initiates his attack pattern, which skips his attack phase entirely. Now all I have to do is just count 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. He comes up, and then rinse and repeat. Just like that. So coming up is 7 Airship, the intermission in between World 7 and World 8. And just like World 5, it is an auto-scroller. However, the first part of 7 Airship involves riding a cloud across the level, but we're going to skip that entirely. And the way I'm going to be doing it is pretty precise. So let's see if I can get it. So here's this long cutscene introducing us to 7 Airship that we didn't get to see in 5 Airship because we skipped that level. And now, onwards with the 7 Airship's cloud skip. And we did it. Just like that. So now this next part here is simple. It's an auto-scroller. You just gotta... It's kind of the calm before the storm, before we head on to the main boss.
Do we have time for a quick donation before that?
No, because coming up is the boss fight. But you can after.
Will do.
Alright, so I'll do the fight and then I'll try to explain it. So that's 1. That's 2. And that's 3. Okay, so that fight looked really easy, but Bowser Jr.'s hitbox is extremely small, which is very unfavorable. There have been several clips throughout many runners of New Super Luigi U, as well as New Super Mario Bros. U, where it kind of looks like you're about to hit Bowser Jr., but you either go through him, you get knocked out of hitting him, or you just get hit and then you hit him. It's kind of a mess, and if you lose your acorn in the Bowser Jr. fight, then the fight is like extremely random. More randomness in Kamek, but fortunately we didn't have to worry about having to deal with the randomness of Bowser Jr. Now, we have a bit of a cutscene before heading into World 8, so this would be a good time right now to get a couple.
Sure thing. We have one more donation coming from our own Osmorn. Donating $1, which, again, anything helps. Even if it's only $1, it helps immensely, and we're grateful for everything you can donate. Message reading, gotta donate for one of my favorite games of all time, Sonic Riders. Good luck to the M-Chan at this amazing run and for being a staple in No Glitches Allowed events. Always amazed to you run your games at our events. Can we get a $1 train going to help out through Go Rescue? It's a good question. And yes, always nice to have M-Chan running something on our marathon.
Yeah, this is I've been participating at these events since Complete-a-thon in 2019, and this is currently my 9th run in the as far as No Glitches Allowed. This is not counting the Complete-a-thon runs. So I'm always excited to participate in these events. Anyway, moving on to World 8 here, starting off with 8-1. 8-1 has these raining fireballs that are random. At the end of the level, there are 3 fireball patterns I have to pay attention to. Each from best pattern to worst is a difference of a second. I got the worst pattern, fantastic. So I just lost a second over the best pattern of that right there. All those blocks right there are coin blocks, so you have to wait for a fireball to hit those blocks. That way I can get up to this part right here, which is the secret exit. And it's going to allow us to skip 2 levels One of them has a difficult auto-scroller. In Mario U, you actually do the normal exit of 8-1 and do the 2 levels, which seems slower, but there's actually a skip in 8-2 in Mario U that saves more time than doing 8-4. But here in Luigi U, we do 8-4 because in Mario U, 8-4 is a very long auto-scroller. This level is not an auto-scroller. So once again, there's fireballs as well. They're not random this time, but they're cycle-based. So it's important that you don't mess up in this level. Just like that. And now we're heading off to 8-Castle. So 8-Castle, if you ever watch speedruns of New Super Mario Bros. U, then there's a very notorious trick called the elevator skip. It's very difficult. It's probably known to be the hardest skip throughout the entire New Super Mario Bros. Series. In this game, the elevator is a horizontal moving elevator, unlike in New Super Mario Bros. U. It's a vertical climbing level, so it's not that difficult. However, at the second part of this level, I can either go safe or go really big, which I'm gonna go really big. Just like that. So, that's a very precise jump. You have to jump low enough so you don't hit that bomb on the top, and then also high enough so you don't hit that spark. And that spark has a pretty small hitbox, so it's pretty lenient, but it's only a few pixels of height that you have to make that jump right there. Also, in order to control the elevator, I am tilting the gamepad, so it's the only use of required motion controls throughout the run. And now we're up to the final level, 8-Castle 2. The final battle. Now, this first part of the level here, Bowser Jr. is going to try and stomp on us and like ruin our day. But as long as you move the same way, then you can influence Bowser Jr.'s patterns. But I can do this. Okay. So I still saved time there over, what I was supposed to do, I was supposed to get a wall jump, but my wall jump didn't go through. But I still saved time over the, if I was just doing that room normally. And so what happened there is I actually, used Bowser Jr. while he was moving to the right to try and chase after me to, okay, that's actually not good. I used Bowser Jr. while he's chasing after me, and while he's moving right, to kind of cling on to Bowser Jr., and that actually, like, allows me to move really fast, over just going through the room, like, normally, dodging Bowser Jr., no extra speed. So that still saves a second over the other method. And also, corridor room, the fireballs are always the same, so you want to move the same way to dodge fireballs. Unfortunately, I messed something up, which made me lose my acorn, which is not a big deal. It just means I have to lose 2 seconds later on. Oh, and then also the Bowser fight, it was so hard. Because Luigi jumps so high, you can just simply jump over Bowser. Very easy. But now it's time to save the princess. Because surely nothing happened back there. Oh no! Oh, he's back, and now he's giant! Alright, the final phase of Bowser. Let's do this. Alright, so normally, if I didn't lose Acorn, then I would do a trick called Fireball Skip, which skips the second Fireball, but because I lost my Acorn, I can't do it. Or at least I can't do it consistently. There is a way to do it without Acorn, but it's not very reliable. So that only loses 2 seconds. The next part I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to try and keep this clown car while dodging Bowser, just like that. Okay. Gonna go and stun Bowser Jr. again to keep him away from the clown car. If you let Bowser Jr. grab the clown car and he gets away with it, you lose a lot of time. Because then you have to wait through all of Bowser's attack phases, and you lose like 20 to 40 seconds. Time. You lose like 20 to 40 seconds, depending on what attack Bowser does, each phase. So keeping the clown car throughout all 3 attacks saves quite a lot of time, and it makes the final Bowser fight really fast. As you can see right there, I didn't get enough time to explain the entire Bowser fight before I finished the fight. But with that being said, that is new Super Luigi U. I got a time of 102.08, which is a really good time. My PB is 101.21, so losing 47 seconds over the course of the entire hour run is really good. This category itself isn't particularly difficult, but yeah, that's not much else to say there. Really happy with the run overall. Yeah, thank you, PQ Fighter, for being a awesome host for this run, as well as the marathon itself.
You're so welcome, Mshan. It's glad to have you here. And yeah, we do have a donation here praising you, actually, from Toast. $20 saying, "Thank you, Mshan, for this great run and commentary. Indeed, it was very enjoyable to watch, not a dull moment."